Looks like the freight company Yellow is going out of business. Saw a video of a guy that went pretty viral, I guess, if I saw it, but he had worked there for 30 years, it looked like, and he was informed that, they weren't going to have a pension. Um, I think that's what it was. Obviously he might have been getting, laid off as well, but what a tough situation, right? Not only do you lose your pension, but you also lose your job in probably the same week. And terrible, right? I mean, let's say that you continued to work for a company for not 5 years, not 10 years, not 20 years, but 30 years just to find out that the pension's no longer there when you get to the finish line, right? There's not going to be any sort of retirement or monthly income that you're going to get, even though you thought you were going to get it. So I don't know. It sounds like I don't know all the details, but it sounds like there was some mismanagement, and obviously the top guys were making, they were taking their cut. Obviously, like the executives and the guys that were, on the finance side of things. The truckers got stiffed. Per usual, the guys kind of at the bottom get whatever's left, which oftentimes is nothing, especially if the company goes, belly up, right? There's nothing left for those people to get. So a bunch of empty promises for these guys. It's terrible if you were in that situation. I don't know what type of recourse you have. If you were told for 15, 20, 30 years that you were going to have a pension and then all of a sudden the thing just disappears. That's, is there any sort of legal action you have, or if the company just goes bankrupt, that might legally make them not liable. Like, hey, we said we were going to give you a pension, but shit hit the fan and now we don't have anything to give you. And what a terrible position. I can understand when the guy would be so mad, right? So I think they were like the fourth or fifth biggest trucking or freight company, and for them to just go out of business is a little concerning. Again, it could have been really bad mismanagement, but it's not very often that companies of that size just go out of business every day, right? So let me know what you guys think on it. I don't know. Pensions are kind of a thing of the past. My generation, I'm 30 years old now. Pensions were not anything that was on the table. I think probably the generation before me, probably most of those people didn't have pensions, Gen X. I think some of the baby boomers probably did, and then certainly people that were older than that, that grew up or that were working in the 60s and 70s. I think a lot of just normal jobs had pensions back then. But now it's not even something that is on the table. So they don't even really try to bait you with that of having a pension. You do have 401ks and whatever, but that's certainly not a pension, and it doesn't really give you an incentive. You would think for let's say if you worked at a big company and then you got hired on after college, you might not want to leave for 30 years because, hey, I got a pension, I get rewarded for staying here. If I stay for 20 or 25 or 30 years, I get this amount of money, for the rest of my life because of this pension. That's a big reason to not leave, right? But if you don't have that, then, what's really keeping you there, right? That's the question. So it's tragic, though, that, you can imagine if you're a person who's saying, oh, I could go look for a different job or I could switch jobs and maybe make more money, but Yellow has told me that I'm going to have a pension, and I know I've already done 20 years with Yellow or 17 years with Yellow or even 25 years, and I'm going to retire when I'm 55 or when I'm 60 or whatever, and I'm going to have a pension. But then when you get close to the end of that, they just pull it away and now you have nothing. You're kind of left holding the bag. So again, I don't know what type of legal recourse they have. Probably is none. They're probably just going to get left with no money. Even if it's $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, if you're talking about a retired person, that's a big, you know, that's a big portion of money, because Social Security, is usually not enough just to survive on. It's pretty low. It's maybe $1,000 or $2,000 a month for most people. So you have to have some other source. A lot of people have maybe retirement income, but a pension is, an additional stream of revenue that you might have been banking on. And now you're out. Now you're not going to have that, whether it's $10, $20, $30,000 or more per year. That's just gone. So people that thought they were going to retire at 60, they might be working until they're 70, or maybe they'll have to always work, because they can't survive just based on Social Security, right? So I don't know. It's pensions are kind of dying out, so it's sad to see people that, like I said, it's one thing if you never were promised a pension and you never were offered that, then it's no big deal, right? Because it wasn't something that you had planned to have. But if you're a little bit older and you had been sold the entire time that you were going to have a pension, and then they just, go bankrupt, or the pension's no longer being offered, that's a terrible position to be in, right? Because the company held that over you, and then, when it comes to the showdown, they're not going to pay you. They're going to say, hey, they're either going to go bankrupt, or they're going to restructure the company and not pay out anyone with a pension. So comment on any of the thoughts you have on it. It's an interesting topic. I appreciate any feedback you guys have on it, and take care of yourself. Have a good one. Bye-bye.